There is a coffee shop downtown where a woman named Dana met her oldest friend every Thursday for 8 years. Same table, same window. Then one afternoon, she looked at the empty chair across from her and realized she could not remember the last time anyone sat in it. There was no argument, no falling out, and nobody had ever formally banned her from going. How does a person end up completely alone when no one forbids them from doing anything? Researchers who study this dynamic have a specific term for it. They call it lonelification. It describes the slow, quiet severing of a person from every single social world they belong to. The true danger of this manipulation lies in its disguise. Isolation is a controller's most powerful tool because of how it arrives. It enters a relationship disguised as concern. It arrives as love. It takes hold one small, reasonable-sounding sentence at a time. Because the isolation feels organic and mimics care so closely, the person experiencing it mistakenly believes their shrinking world is a choice they made themselves. That gap between what is actually happening and what it feels like is the ultimate invisible trap. The severance rarely starts with the victim, and almost never with the friends directly. It starts with the seed. A controller drops tiny, offhand doubts into a conversation about someone you trust. I just got a weird vibe from her. Your sister makes everything about herself. Each comment is deniable, but it plants a question that alters your perception of that relationship over time. A seed cannot keep you home on a Friday night. The calendar does. The controller manufactures sudden logistical friction exactly when you try to leave the house. A surprise reservation is made. A debilitating headache appears right as you reach for your keys. The competing plans never existed until your plans did. Face this friction enough times, and you condition yourself to stop making plans entirely. You tell yourself you are keeping the peace, because avoiding the gathering is easier than navigating the sudden tension. If you do manage to go out, they deploy the poisoning. The controller attends the gathering, but radiates tension the entire evening. They sulk in the corner or treat your friends coldly, forcing you to spend the whole event managing their mood instead of enjoying anyone's company. The cruelest part is the conclusion you draw. You do not realize your friends are being actively pushed away. You simply conclude that socializing has become too exhausting. You self-isolate, blaming the withdrawal on yourself. Then comes the leash, surveillance disguised as extreme romantic devotion. A partner insists on driving you to every errand and every dinner. It looks like unusual dedication, but the true objective is ensuring you never arrive anywhere alone and never have a conversation they cannot hear. Advocates map these behaviors onto a power and control wheel. They function as a coherent strategy, predictable, repeatable, and designed to strip away your support network until you depend entirely on one person. This diagram maps out a healthy network of relationships. Sociologists categorize these outer circles as fact-checkers. They provide the mirrors you need to check your situation against a standard of ordinary kindness. When you have 10 relationships highlighting ordinary behavior, you have contrast. If one connection becomes cruel or controlling, it stands out instantly against the baseline of the other 9. Take those external fact-checkers away, and the geometry of your reality collapses. Without comparison, that single remaining person becomes your entire definition of normal. The coldness stops looking like coldness, and walking on eggshells becomes just the way things are. The most deeply unsettling part of this process happens inside your own head. The human mind recoils at the thought that a loved one is harming us on purpose. To survive the psychological weight of that truth, your mind recruits itself to rationalize the isolation. You manufacture kinder stories, telling yourself you just drifted apart or life simply got in the way. The method's ultimate success is not achieved the moment the last friend leaves. It is achieved when your reality is so thoroughly rewritten that you can no longer imagine things were ever supposed to be different. You might assume a dynamic this severe is rare, but the data suggests otherwise. Somewhere between 60 and 80% of people who survive abusive relationships experience this exact method of control. A global study of 16,000 women shows that for socially isolated demographics, the risk of partner violence multiplies by 5. Furthermore, data from millions reveals this isolation raises the risk of dying early by 29%, a biological toll comparable to obesity. The data shows that isolation is a measurable physical wound. It functions as the primary mechanism of abuse, carrying risks that go far beyond a change in mood. To see an invisible trap, you have to stop looking for a dramatic fight. Pull up your social calendar from 2 years ago and set it next to the last 2 months. Count the names and look at the trend line. This visualization highlights the diagnostic difference between two paths. Natural drifting is random. It scatters outward in multiple directions for a dozen different reasons. Engineered isolation has a clear pattern. It systematically closes every single road, except the one funneling strictly back to the controller. Naming this pattern is the first crack in the machinery. Identify the strategy used against you, and it becomes harder for your mind to accept the kinder explanations that kept the trap closed. The trap was built slowly, one thread at a time, while you were told it was love. It can be dismantled the same way. The entire system begins to fail the moment you make the simple, quiet choice to reach back out into the light and pick up a single dropped thread.